That autumn day, I got home from the notary's office a little earlier than usual. I opened the apartment door with a distinctive movement. The hallway smelled of freshly brewed coffee and her mother-in-law's familiar perfume. It's odd. She wasn't scheduled to be here today. Asia closed the front door firmly but quietly. She confidently removed her shoes and strode purposefully down the hall, holding them in her hands. There was a sudden sound of muffled voices coming from the kitchen. My husband, Anton, and his mother were having a deep conversation. Asia stood still, unwilling to move forward. She didn't intend to eavesdrop. She simply didn't want to interrupt their conversation. The next sentence made her go cold. It was uttered by her mother-in-law, Galina Petrovna. You know that the time to act is now, because if you wait, it will be too late. You can be sure this money will float out of your hands. Her mother-in-law's voice was unmistakably insistent, and her irritation was clearly concealed. She didn't inform me of the inheritance. I have no reason to ask you about this. Anton's voice unmistakably conveyed resentment. She wants to take care of everything herself, without your help. It's clear to me that you don't understand. I called the notary's office for a specific reason. Asia will undoubtedly seize full control of this inheritance, rendering any attempt to win it back futile. We must act now. Asia's footing faltered, and she lost her balance. My heart was pounding loudly. It reverberated throughout the apartment. She covered her mouth with her hand, determined not to let out a cry of shock when they found out about the inheritance. She kept her great-aunt Yevgenia Stepanovna's bequest of money and real estate a secret. As she had a plan, she was going to handle the formalities first and then inform her husband. I expected a surprise. I was ready to discuss how best to dispose of the unexpected wealth that had fallen into their laps. Mom, I need you to confirm that he's right. There's a slight possibility that there is a small amount. Anton's voice revealed uncertainty. A small one. There's an apartment in the center, a cottage outside the city, and bills. It is now your wife's property. You don't want to be left with nothing. My mother-in-law raised her voice. I told you from the beginning that you should have married Lena, not that upstart. Lena is the type of person who would share everything with you. Asia felt a lump in her throat. I feel nauseous. Her husband and his mother discussed how to access her inheritance. They had lived together for almost 6 years. The mother-in-law had an acquaintance in the notary's office who gave them confidential information. The strangeness of the last few weeks came back to her. Anton's attention was clearly captured by her plans, prompting him to inquire about her relatives. Now it all made sinister sense. Tell me what we should do, Anton asked. First, confirm that she has completed everything and received all the documents. I will tell you what to do next. The key is to demonstrate your knowledge, not to show that you know it. It is imperative that you act as you always have. She will tell us everything. Then we will end the sentence. Asia didn't catch it because the front door creaked behind her at that moment. The conversation in the kitchen ended abruptly. Who's there? Anton sounded alarmed. Asia knew exactly what to do. She strode purposefully back to the front door, opened it, and closed it again. Loud this time. I'm home, she declared, maintaining a casual tone. My heart was racing. Her heart was pounding. Her mouth was dry. Her hands were shaking so badly that she could barely hang up her jacket. Anton emerged from the kitchen. Asia saw the fake smile on his face. You're early today, he said, coming closer and kissing her on the cheek. The familiar gesture made her wince, but she refused to show it. Yes, they let me go early, Asia stated, avoiding his gaze. My mother-in-law emerged from the kitchen with a cup of coffee. Asia, my dear, what a surprise. I came by for a cup of coffee. It's been a while. Galina Petrovna's smile was unmistakable, but her eyes held a frigid intensity. Asia always felt a certain tension in their relationship, but she was certain it was due to the usual friction between her daughter-in-law and her mother-in-law. She knew then that it was more serious. Her mother-in-law never accepted her. She was always waiting for an opportunity to turn her son against her. "Hello, Galina Petrovna." Asia attempted to maintain composure, but internally she was overcome with indignation and fear. She entered the kitchen, aware of the gazes of her husband and mother-in-law upon her. She needed time to gather my thoughts and figure out how to deal with this betrayal. "I'll get you some tea," Anton asked. There was something ominous in Asia's ordinary phrase. "No, I'm not interested. I'm tired. We should go lie down," she said, certain that sitting at the same table with them and pretending nothing had happened was not an option. "Are you feeling all right? You look pale." Anton's voice revealed concern, though it now sounded forced. Asia was tired at work. She tried to smile, but it came off as insincere. She stormed into the bedroom, closed the door, and finally let out a long, deep breath. Her knees gave way, and she collapsed on the bed's edge. I covered my face with my hands, and the cliff whirled through my head. I overheard the conversation. It's inconceivable that they could. Anton's behavior was unacceptable. He spoke about her inheritance in a disrespectful manner, discussing it with his mother as if it were his property. Asia distinctly recalls receiving a letter from a notary a month ago. Her great-aunt Yevgenia Stepanovna, with whom Asia had met only a few times in her life, unexpectedly left her everything. Asia was amazed, but she didn't just accept what was happening. "I will tell Anton as soon as the shock wears off." She knew exactly how happy her husband would be, and how they would make plans together. But she decided to settle all the formalities first, so that she could give him a ready surprise. The naive dream is now a thing of the past. I heard footsteps outside the door, followed by my mother-in-law's voice. "I'm going. We'll call you tonight." Anton spoke, but Asia couldn't hear him clearly. The front door slammed as my mother-in-law left. A minute later, there was a knock on the bedroom door. "Asia, may I?" Anton's voice was unmistakably soft and sympathetic. This false concern was met with anger. "I'm lying down." "My head hurts," she said, her voice steady. "Can I get you a pill?" Anton stood his ground. "No, I'm not going to do that. I need to rest." "Rest up. I will work in the living room." Asia heard his footsteps receding and finally let the tears run down her cheeks. She was crying silently, burying her face in the pillow so that Anton wouldn't hear. I cried out, driven by a combination of resentment, frustration, and fear in the face of the unknown. She had no right to remain in the marriage knowing that the husband she loved and trusted was so self-serving and deceitful. She remembered their first encounter 6 years ago, a casual meeting at a mutual friend's birthday party. Anton won her over with charm, intelligence, and humor. Their romance rapidly escalated, and 6 months later, they were already living together. The wedding was modest and exclusive, limited to close family and friends, as his parents had already passed away. Galina Petrovna, Anton's mother, was cool about her son's choice from the start. "She is young and inexperienced. She will create a real family home for you." She spoke to her son, not caring what Asia might hear. Anton then boldly defended his choice, declaring his love for Asia and his indifference to others' opinions. "It's clear now that his mother has always had more influence over him than he thought." My mother-in-law mentioned Lena. "Who is this Lena?" Anton never talked about his ex-girlfriend. He must have kept many other secrets all these years. As his thoughts were clearly muddled, and her head ached with tension. One thing was certain. She was not going to stay in this apartment next to the man who had betrayed her trust. You'd be unwise to leave now in a hurry without a plan of action. She needed time to think things through, to sort out her inheritance, and to protect her interests. She had to pretend that she didn't know anything about the plot against her. Asia wiped away her tears and took a deep breath, steadying herself. She was always strong. That's for sure. She dealt with the grief and responsibility alone when her parents died. She did it then, and she will do it now. It is imperative not to reveal to Anton and his mother that she uncovered their scheme. She will act with care and thoughtfulness. There was another knock on the door. Asia, I made dinner. Will you? She glanced at her watch. It's been over 2 million hours. The sun was setting outside the window. Yes, I'll be right out, she said, maintaining her composure. I washed my face, cleaned myself up, and took on the role of an unsuspecting wife. The thought provoked a bitter smile. She had never anticipated having to put on an act in their relationship, but life proved more challenging than she had anticipated. Upon exiting the bedroom, Asia discovered that Anton had indeed prepared dinner. Her preferred seafood pasta dish. A bottle of wine sat on the table, accompanied by burning candles. It's exactly like when they first started living together and turned every night into a small celebration. I'm giving you a minute, Anton said, pulling out a chair. Asia sat up, keeping her composure. Her stomach clenched at the realization that this romantic gesture was part of his plan to access her inheritance. You look better. Rested? Anton asked, confidently pouring wine into the glasses. Yes, it's a little better, Asia replied, looking away. She picked up her fork and started eating, even though she wasn't eating enough. Tell me if everything's okay at work. You've been tense lately, Anton stated, his gaze fixed intently on her. It's fine. Asia deliberately maintained a light voice during normal working moments. She was a successful accountant at a small company. Her work was always reliable and free of problems or stress. How are you doing? I need to know how the project is progressing. She decided to change the subject to his work. Anton. He worked as an architect in a prestigious office. He often spoke excitedly about his projects, and he could talk for hours. Today, it was surprisingly brief. Everything is going according to plan. Nothing special. We should take a vacation. We should go somewhere. It's time for us to take a vacation together. This is the first one that caught Asia off guard. It's clear they hadn't been out together for a long time. There wasn't enough money or opportunity to take a vacation at the same time. And now suddenly such an offer. She remembered her mother-in-law's exact words. It is imperative that you act as you always have. She will tell you everything. This was clearly part of their plan to create a romantic setting so that she could relax and talk about the inheritance. Now is not the best time for a vacation, Asia stated definitively. Why? Anton's expression conveyed clear disappointment. You were on vacation long ago. I agree. Think about it. We're going to the sea or the mountains. I'll think about it, she said, her tone laced with evasion. She could feel a growing sense of unease inside her. She would have welcomed such a suggestion in the past, but now she's distrustful of her husband. Think about it. Anton smiled. In the meantime, we'll drink to that. He raised his glass of wine. Asia raised her glass, clinked it against her husband's, and took a sip. The wine, which is usually pleasant to the taste, now had an unpleasant sour flavor. She stared at the man across from her. He was so familiar, yet so completely alien. She couldn't believe that this was really happening. The dinner continued in a tense atmosphere. Anton tried to have a casual conversation, telling some work stories and laughing, but Ashi could see that he was also straining too hard. He feigned amusement. She answered only with difficulty, citing fatigue and a headache. After dinner, Anton offered to watch a movie, but Asia refused, saying that she was going to bed early. "I'm going to work for a while," Anton stated. Asia felt a surge of relief at the opportunity to be alone. In the bedroom, she was immediately engrossed in a vivid reverie, reliving the intense pain. What's the next step? I need to know who I can trust in this situation. She needed advice and support. She decided to call her best friend, Victoria. Victoria has always been practical and able to find a way out of the most difficult situations. Asia picked up the phone and dialed the familiar number. She was determined not to let Anton hear the conversation behind the closed door. "Vika, hi. Can you talk?" "What is it?" she asked firmly when her friend answered. "Tell me what happened. Your voice is strange. We have to meet tomorrow. It is very important. I'm free for lunch. We're meeting at our cafe at 1 o'clock. "Yes, thanks." Asia was confident that she would be able to share her problems with someone she trusted tomorrow. She put down her phone and decided to take a shower. The warm water would help her relax and collect her thoughts. Asia stood under the water, absorbing the situation. "She's clearly being overly dramatic." Anton was surprised and offended that she didn't tell him about the inheritance right away. He should not have discussed it with his mother. He should have told her directly. Her mother-in-law's words were clear: she needed to act now, before it was too late. Asia was exhausted when she came out of the shower. Her thoughts and emotions were undeniably exhausting. She went to bed determined to find relief in sleep and to see the situation more clearly in the morning. Sleep was impossible. She lay awake, startled by every sound in the apartment. While waiting for Anton to come to bed, he showed up an hour later and quietly opened the bedroom door. Asia was in full control of her breathing, keeping it steady and uninterrupted. Anton laid down next to her, being careful not to wake her. She would have moved closer to him, seeking warmth and closeness. She lay still, keeping as much distance from him as possible. His presence made her feel physically uncomfortable. The night dragged on endlessly. She fell into the restless sleep and then woke up again, tormented by anxious thoughts. She woke up earlier than usual that morning, feeling exhausted. Anton was still asleep, so she left the bedroom to make coffee and get ready for work. Asia stood by the coffee machine, certain that this was the last morning she would spend in that apartment as Anton's wife. The thought was painful, but it also brought a strange sense of relief. She had reached her breaking point. She couldn't continue living a lie. She had to protect herself and her inheritance from those who saw her as a child. To them, she was nothing more than a source of profit. Anton came out to the kitchen and found her dressed and ready to leave. "It's still early," he declared, pulling himself up. "Yes, it's a lot of work," Asia replied, avoiding his gaze. "Let's go out for dinner tonight. I'll make the reservation," Anton asserted. Asia was certain that his words were false. "Let's see how the day goes. I'll call you," she said, her tone firm and decisive. She adjusted the bag on her shoulder, her expression conveying determination. "Asia, it's all right. Today, you're different." Anton looked at her intently, and for a moment, Asa saw a glimmer of real concern in his eyes. Or was it a game, too? "I'm fine. I just didn't get enough sleep." Her smile was forced. "I'm leaving now. I'll be late." Asa took a deep breath as she left the apartment, releasing the weight pressing down on her. She knew it was going to be a difficult day, but she was confident that she was beginning to find her footing. She will deal with this situation, no matter how painful the path to a solution may be. On my way to work, I called the notary's office. I registered my inheritance and made an appointment after dinner. She had to find out who had told her father-in-law and Anton about her affairs and make sure her inheritance was protected. The working day was a blur. Asia did her job mechanically, but her mind was elsewhere. Colleagues noticed her condition and asked her about it. "Is everything all right?" However, she merely offered general phrases about lack of sleep and fatigue. Asia met Victoria during the lunch break at their favorite cafe near work. She relaxed a little when she saw her friend. "You look awful," Victoria declared immediately, never mincing words. "What happened?" Asia confided in me, sharing the details of the inheritance, the conversation she overheard, and her concerns. Victoria listened intently, refraining from interrupting. She only occasionally frowned or shook her head. "What are you going to do?" "What is it?" she demanded when Asia had finished her story. "I don't know," Asia said directly. "I need to leave right now." "I'll pack up my things and get out of his life." "I know I'm right, but I still hope I'm wrong and that I misunderstood their conversation." "You heard them with your own ears," Victoria stated confidently. "What you've said is not an innocent conversation. It's clear they're up to something, but what exactly is it and what can they do?" Asia felt panic rise up inside her. "You need to be very careful." Victoria leaned closer. "They want you to voluntarily share your inheritance or transfer funds to Anton. They are planning something more serious." Asia was frightened by this thought. She refused to believe that Anton was capable of anything truly harmful. Dan. Despite everything that has happened, she still remembers the good moments of their life together. She firmly believed that he still possessed the qualities that made her love him. "Vika, tell me what I should do." Asia's voice conveyed a clear sense of helplessness. "First of all, don't show that you know anything," Victoria said firmly. "Second, it is essential to ensure that your inheritance is legally protected. Get ready to leave him. You have a place to go, and you will go there." Asia thought about it. "My parents and other close relatives were deceased. I can withdraw the apartment," she declared. "I have money." "I'll let you stay with me while you look for something permanent," Victoria said. "Thank you." Asia looked at her friend and expressed gratitude, but firmly stated her hope that it wouldn't come to that. "I will talk to Anton and find out." "No," Victoria interrupted firmly. "Don't tell him you heard them talking. It's not yet. First, you must ensure that your rights are protected." Asin nodded in agreement, confirming that her friend was right. She glanced at her watch. "I have to go." "I made an appointment with the notary." "Be careful." "Seriously," Victoria said. "Keep me informed. Call me right away if something goes wrong." The notary's office was in an old building in the city center. Asia strode purposefully up the creaky stairs to the second floor and rapped firmly on a door marked Notary Sergei Ivanovich Klimov. The notary himself met her. He was an elderly man with kind eyes and a gray beard. "Come in, Anastasia Dmitrievna," he said, inviting her into the study. "What can I do for you?" I asked confidently. Asia took a seat at the offered table and fidgeted with her fingers in her lap. "Sergei Ivanovich, I need to know who received information about my inheritance." The notary's frown spoke volumes. "I don't understand. What do you mean?" "My husband and his mother are correct. I inherited my great-aunt's story." "They know details that only someone with access to the documents could know. This is a serious breach of privacy." The notary's expression clearly conveyed alarm. "There are several people working in our office, but I can't imagine any of them." "Do you know Galina Petrovna Sokolova?" Asia inquired, keeping a close eye on the notary's response. He gave it some thought, and his expression shifted immediately. "Sokolova recently consulted with us about inheritance issues, but I did not speak with her personally. My assistant, Elena greeted her. Isia's stomach churned with a cold sensation. My mother-in-law definitely came here to find out about the inheritance. I need to talk to Elena. What is it? She demanded. The notary was clear. It doesn't work today. I will find out if there was a breach of privacy. If this is the case, action will be taken. Thank you. Asia's mood shifted, becoming slightly more composed. I have one more question. I want to know if my inheritance can be transferred to my husband or someone else without my consent. The notary was unequivocal. It was absolutely impossible. As the sole heiress of Yevgeny Stepanovna's will, you are entitled to the inheritance. It is imperative to note that all property is registered to you. You have the legal right to decide who has access to it. These words brought much-needed relief. Anton and his mother are not going to take her inheritance. They had a plan. I need you to convince her to volunteer, share, or do something more sinister. Sergei Ivanovich, I need copies of all the documents related to the inheritance. Asia asked. Pogotovim. Of course. The notary gave the secretary a direct order. Asia decided to ask another question while the documents were being prepared. My grandmother left everything to me. And I want to know why. We were not close. The notary gave her a slight smile. Yevgenia Stepanovna was a very unusual woman. She said you have a special quality. You remind her of herself when she was young. She made it clear that these funds are more necessary than those of other relatives. Asia was certain of one thing. Their rare meetings were unforgettable. My great-aunt was unquestionably unique, self-sufficient, and resilient. She was unafraid to forge her own path. She was an engineer at a time when women rarely chose technical careers. She traveled a lot and never married. Asia had always admired her, despite finding her lifestyle too lonely. She left you a letter, the notary declared. You should have received it with the inheritance documents. I need you to tell me if you got it. Asia shook her head. I can say with certainty that they did not send me anything. Strange. The notary's frown spoke volumes. It was in a package of documents. I'll look at the archive. He left the office, and Asia was left anxiously waiting. The notary returned with an envelope a few minutes later. Here it is, he declared, handing the envelope to Asia. It is peculiar that it remains here. I apologize for this misunderstanding. Asia took the envelope with her name written on it in neat handwriting. She knew right away that the contents of this email were vital to understanding the whole situation. I want to read it now. What is it? She asked. Of course, the notary confirmed. I'm leaving. Asia opened the envelope with trembling hands when the notary closed the door. Yi unfolded a piece of paper covered in small but legible handwriting. Dear Anastasia, the letter began. If you're reading this, I'm dead. You're the heir to all my property. My choice may surprise you. Given that we weren't close, I've watched you from afar, and I've seen the qualities I value most in you: honesty, fortitude, and kindness. You remind me of myself when I was young, and I am determined to give you the same opportunities that I missed. After living a long life, I've learned one important thing. You can only achieve true freedom when you are financially independent. It is imperative for women to have their own funds and a place to live. Use what I've left you to gain your independence and live by your own rules. Share it in time riches with your loved ones. You have the right to do this. You must be certain that these people love you for who you are, not for what you have. It's clear that wealth attracts those who want to benefit rather than share in the joy. There's one more thing to consider. There's a box with family heirlooms in the safe at the dacha I left you. You will find something there that will help you better understand our family and yourself. Anastasia, live your life to the fullest. Make mistakes and start over without hesitation. You have everything you need to be happy. Your great-aunt Eugenia sends her love. Asia finished reading the letter and tears ran down her cheeks. Eugene's grandmother's words, though spoken to a stranger, touched something deep within her. You must ensure that these people truly love you. Not that you have this phrase, as if it answered the question that Asia Zada imagined from the moment I overheard my husband talking to my mother-in-law. She wiped her tears and folded the letter when there was a knock on the door. A notary came in with a folder of documents. Here are the documents on your inheritance, he declared, handing Ace the folder. Tell me what else I can do to help. Yes, Ace felt a surge of determination. I demand to know how to ensure that my inheritance is fully protected. I want to know how to prevent anyone from accessing or claiming it under any circumstances. The notary gave her a hard look, as if he had a clear understanding of what she was implying. There are several legal mechanisms, he stated. We will issue a statement stating that you do not intend to include the inherited property and the jointly acquired property of the spouses. Consider opening a trust account or other asset protection options. We will do everything in our power, Asia declared with conviction. I will ensure that my inheritance is used as I choose, and no other way. The notary nodded in affirmation. Be aware that some documents may require time to complete. We will take action immediately and schedule the rest for the next few days. Asia spent the next hour signing documents and listening to the notary explain the legal subtleties of inheritance protection. It was late when she left the office. She felt a strange mixture of emotions, sadness at her husband's betrayal, fear of the unknown future, and an unusual sense of freedom and strength. Her grandmother Yevgenia's words instilled a confidence that she would overcome any difficulty. As she looked at her phone, she saw several missed calls from Anton and messages. Where are you? I've booked a table for 7. She took a deep breath and texted back. I'm late to work. Start without me. I will come as soon as I can. She needed time to gather her thoughts and decide what to do next. She knew she couldn't just go home and pretend everything was fine. She is certain that her husband and mother-in-law are plotting behind her back. She was determined not to act on impulse. She would think through every step. Asia decided to take a walk to clear her head. The evening city was full of people rushing home after work. She always hurried home to Anton at this time. They could spend the evening talking, watching a movie, or just reading their own books in comfortable silence. Now, it's clear that those memories are part of another life, another relationship that only existed in her imagination. Anton's phone rang again. Asia hesitated, then replied, Yes, Asia, where are you? Her husband's voice revealed clear concern. I'm at the restaurant. Are you coming soon? I'm sorry, Anton, but I can't make it, she said, maintaining her composure. I have urgent business to attend to. I'm sorry. What's up? Tell me what's happening. You're not yourself today. His voice unmistakably conveyed annoyance. I'm not going to explain it right now. I have to go. Asia felt a surge of emotion that would overwhelm her if she didn't take control. Asia, wait. She had already pressed the end call button. My heart was pounding like crazy. She was certain that Anton would be angry and might even suspect something. But she needed time. Asia made her decision. She's going to Victoria. My friend lived in a small apartment on the outskirts of the city, and the journey took almost an hour. Ace replayed the events of the last few days in her head, looking for an explanation of her husband and mother-in-law's behavior. She was certain that their actions did not imply betrayal. After giving it some thought, she realized there was no other explanation. Victoria met her with a worried look on her face. What happened? You look awful. I was at the notary's office, Asia stated, entering the apartment and taking a seat on the sofa. My mother-in-law came to my home to discuss my inheritance. I also found a letter from my grandmother, Yevgenia. She took out the letter and handed it to Victoria. Her friend read it and shook her head, clearly thinking hard. Your grandmother was a wise woman. She knew exactly what was going to happen. I don't know what to do, Vika, Asia admitted. I need to get away from Anton and forget all this. It's a bad dream, and I need to wake up. Another part remains hopeful. There is a belief that explanations exist and that everything can be fixed. There has to be another explanation, she asserted. Asia thought about it. She remembered the years she had spent with Anton, their happy moments, their plans for the future. Then she remembered the cold, calculating tone in which he had spoken to his mother about her inheritance. No, she said definitively. He didn't marry me for love. He may have loved me once, but he sees me now only as a source of money. We must protect ourselves, Victoria declared. And your inheritance? You stated that the inherited property includes a summer cottage. Yes, outside the city. I have not been there yet. We should go there, check out the box that Grandma wrote about, and enjoy some alone time, away from Anton and his mother. Asa agreed with the suggestion. She needed time and space to think things through. The mention of the family heirloom box piqued her interest. You're right, she asserted. I'll go there. I need to tell Anton something. Say you need to leave for work or visit a friend in another city. Think of something, Victoria instructed. He'll believe it when he sees me acting normally again. Say that you need time to think about your relationship. Let me be clear. It's not even a lie. Asa nodded. I'll do that. I'm going tomorrow morning. I'm going home and packing my bags. I'm going with you, Victoria told Anton. I'm fine with it. I'll be less suspicious if I come alone. Be careful, Victoria said, her tone firm and unmistakable. Keep your phone on. Call me right away if something goes wrong. I promise. Asia shook her friend's hand firmly and gratefully. Asia arrived home at almost midnight and discovered that Anton was still awake. He was sitting in the living room, clearly angry. Where have you been? What is it? He demanded as soon as she entered. At Vika's, Asia stated confidently. I needed to talk to her. What exactly are you talking about? What's going on? Asia, I know you're avoiding me, canceling your plans, and coming home after midnight. Anton took a step toward her. Asia instinctively stepped back. I need space, Anton. Time to think. I need to know what I should think about this. He sounded worried. This is about us and our marriage. Asia looked straight into his eyes. She was searching for signs of the Anton she had once loved, but all she saw was confusion and perhaps fear. He fears his plans will be ruined. I need you to tell me what you mean about our marriage. There's a problem. Anton looked genuinely surprised. For a moment, Asia almost believed that he really didn't understand. Here's the deal. I'm not sure, Anton. I need time to sort out my feelings. Is it because of my mother? She said something that upset you. Asa saw a flicker of understanding in his eyes, and she felt anger surge through her. I'm leaving tomorrow for a few days, she stated, ignoring his question. I'm going to take a look at the dacha I inherited. An inheritance? Anton's reaction was clearly false. Asia saw right through it. This is a legacy. Didn't you ever tell me? No, she said, her tone firm and unyielding. It's clear to me that this wasn't in vain. What do you mean? Anton's frown revealed his displeasure, and Asia understood that she had overstepped her bounds. Nothing, she corrected. I'm tired. I want to go to bed. I get up early in the morning. Asia, wait. Anton firmly grasped her arm, stopping her in her tracks as she attempted to enter the bedroom. Let's talk. You have an inheritance. That's good news. You should have told me. I wanted to surprise you, Asia said, pulling her hand away. It doesn't matter now. I'm going to the dacha tomorrow and I'll be back in a few days. Then we'll talk. She closed the bedroom door, leaving Anton standing there with a confused expression. Asia knew exactly what could happen next. He would call his mother right away to discuss this new development. A turn of events that only confirmed her suspicion. Asia couldn't sleep. She listened intently to the sounds in the apartment, waiting for Anton to come into the bedroom. He didn't come. She saw the light in the living room through the half-open door. Asia rose early, gathered her things, and quietly left her room. Anton was sleeping on the sofa in the living room. His head twisted uncomfortably. For a moment, Asia felt a pang of pity. He looked so familiar. So familiar. Then I remembered his conversation with my mother-in-law, and my heart froze again. She left a note on the kitchen table and went to the country. I will return in a few days. I need time to think. Don't call. It was cruel, but necessary. She needed time away from Anton and his mother. She needed time to sort out her feelings and decide what to do next. The address of the dacha is clearly indicated in the inheritance documents. The settlement was small and located about an hour from the city. Asia had never been there before. As she got closer, she felt a strange mix of anxiety and excitement. She will find something in this dacha. The box contains the secrets of Eugene's grandmother. The taxi driver dropped her off at the gate of a small plot with a neat one-story house. Asia located the keys in the inheritance package and opened the gate. The site was clearly well maintained, but it was obvious that no one had been watching it for several months. The grass grew tall, and weeds began to sprout in the beds. Asia strode purposefully up to the house and inserted the key into the lock. The door opened with a slight creak, and Asia was immediately plunged into the cool gloom of the hallway. It definitely smelled of dust, and something else, too, herbs or old books, probably. Asia entered and left her bag by the door. The house was small but cozy. The living room is furnished with simple wooden furniture. The kitchen has cracked tiles on the walls. The bedroom has an antique bed under a heavy blanket. Eugene's grandmother was clearly a practical woman who did not care about luxury. Asia was certain that her grandmother had mentioned a safe containing a box of family heirlooms in her letter. But where is this safe? She began searching the house methodically. She looked in all the cupboards and nightstands and tapped the walls for hidden niches. I couldn't find a single safe. Asia decided to take a break and make tea because she was tired of searching. The kitchen cabinets contained tea bags and instant coffee. It's definitely my grandmother's supplies. The electricity in the house was off, but the gas stove worked fine from a cylinder that was on the street. Asia put the kettle on the stove and sat down at the table, taking in her surroundings. The calendar on the wall stopped at March, the month of Eugene's grandmother's death. Next to the calendar are a few yellowed photos in simple frames. Asia moved closer to examine them. One of the photos clearly showed a young woman with a serious expression on her face. It's clearly Eugene's grandmother in a strict suit, probably in her youth, standing with another group of people near a building. Asia recognized her mother, who was very young, and a girl who looked like her mother, probably her sister, next to her. My mother never had a sister. Ace's gaze was immediately drawn to the third photo. The image depicted a wedding. A young man, and a woman in traditional outfits. The woman looked like her grandmother, Yevgenia, but her features were different. Asia took the photo off the wall and noticed that the frame wasn't tightly attached. She turned the photo over and saw that the back cover of the frame was held together by a single nail. The rest had clearly fallen out over time. curiosity compelled her to do it. Asia opened the frame carefully. There was a folded sheet of paper behind the photograph. Asia unfolded it. The letter was handwritten and dated 1962. "Dear Eugenia," it began. "I know you'll never forgive me for choosing him. But I had to follow the call. DCA. I couldn't betray our friendship. You're strong. You can handle it. I will live with this choice and hope that one day you will understand and forgive me. Your Anna." I reread the letter several times, trying to make sense of it. Anna must tell us who she is and what choice she made that required forgiveness from Evgenie's grandmother. My grandmother kept this letter behind a photograph for a reason. The whistle of the teapot snapped Asia out of her reverie. She replaced the letter, closed the frame, and hung the picture back on the wall. She sat by the window and gazed out at the overgrown garden. Her mind was clearly elsewhere. She was determined to piece together fragments of a family history she knew next to nothing about. After tea, Asia resumed her search for the safe. She searched the entire house, but she didn't find it. "The safe is not in the house. It's on the site." She went outside and looked around. The property also includes a small shed for storing gardening tools and an old gazebo covered with wild grapes. Asia decided to check out the shed. The interior was devoid of light and pervaded by the scent of earth and metal. She switched on the flashlight app on her phone and began scanning the room. There was no sign of a safe, but there was an old wooden barrel in the corner, covered with a piece of tarpaulin. Asia pushed the barrel aside and discovered a square trapdoor in the floor behind it. "Really?" she said, dropping to her knees and trying to open the hatch. "It's clear it wouldn't move because it's locked or jammed." Asia went back inside, found a screwdriver in the kitchen drawer, and went back to the hatch. She pried open the hatch cover and swung it aside after a few minutes of effort. There was a small alcove under the hatch, and inside it was the same safe my grandmother wrote about. Asia pulled the heavy box out of the alcove and dropped it on the floor of the shed. The safe had the combination lock. Asia realized that she didn't know the combination. My grandmother did not mention the code in the email. It's clearly written down somewhere. Asia returned to the house and began searching for records containing the keys to the safe. She searched thoroughly, examining every book on the shelves and emptying every drawer and box, but found nothing. Hope was about to leave when Asa's gaze fell on the calendar on the wall. March. This is the date of Evgenie's grandmother's death. This is the cat. Asia raced back to the barn and dialed the combination lock with the date of her grandmother's death, 1703. The lock was locked. She tried other combinations, the day and month of her grandmother's birth, her age. Nothing worked. Asia sat down on the barn floor, clearly disappointed. "I know what else is important to my grandmother. Tell me what date or number could have been used as a code." She remembered the picture on the wall and the letter hidden behind it. "It's her." I dialed 1960 on the lock and heard a click. The safe opened. Inside, Asia discovered several folders containing documents and a small carved box made of dark wood. Her grandmother Yevgenia wrote about her. Asia took the box and returned to the house, where the light was better. The box was stunning. Exquisite wood carvings, flowers, and birds intertwined in a complex pattern. The initials E, S, and Yevgenia Stepanovna were clearly carved on the lid. The box opened easily, clearly lacking a lock. Inside, Asia discovered the following items: an antique ring with a dark blue stone, a string of pearls, yellowed photographs, and a bundle of letters tied with a faded ribbon. An envelope signed with a familiar handwriting was found underneath it all. It was addressed to Anastasia. Asia opened the envelope and took out the letter. This letter was not delivered by a notary, as the first one was. It was several pages long. "Dear Anastasia," it was beginning. If you're reading this letter, you've found my safe and my family heirloom box. I'm about to share a story that most people don't know. Our family history and secret are things I've kept all my life. Asia confidently took a seat in the old chair and began reading. Yevgenia's grandmother's story was undeniably amazing and tragic. Anna was not just a friend of her grandmother's, she was her sister. Asia found this out when she read the letter Anna had left behind the photo. The choice she wrote about was clear. She fell in love with a man who was previously engaged to Eugenia. The grandmother was adamant. I have never forgiven my sister for her betrayal. We stopped communicating, and I prohibited her name from being mentioned in our family. I learned later that Anna died in childbirth, leaving her daughter to your mother. Anastasia, I'm telling you that your mother is my niece. She's the daughter of my sister and the man I once loved. Asia's reaction was immediate. She stopped reading and was shocked by this revelation. Her mother never said that Eugene's grandmother was her aunt, not her great-aunt. Asia always knew this. She definitely hid the truth. I followed your mother from afar, Grandma Eugenia stated definitively. I ended the feud when she got married and hid you. But it was too late. Your mother made it clear that she didn't want any part of me. She may have blamed me for Anna's death. I respected her decision and kept my distance. But I will tell you the truth. One day, Asia felt a lump in her throat. She remembered Yevgenie's great-aunt's rare visits, how her mother was always tense during these meetings, and how she never talked about her parents. Find the sapphire ring in the box, my grandmother wrote. This ring was passed down in our family through the female line from mother to daughter. My mother gave it to me, but when I decided not to marry, I gave it to Anna. I did not do it because of pride or resentment. I am giving it to you now, just as I should have done years ago. Wear it with pride. Remember that a woman's true strength lies in her independence and ability to forgive. Asia seized the ring from the box. It was an antique silver piece with a large sapphire and small diamonds. The ring fit perfectly on her right hand. It was made for her. There's one more thing you need to know. The letter continued. The documents are in the safe, except for the box. The will of my father, your great-grandfather, is among them. It clearly states that a plot of land on the shore of the lake was to be passed to his descendants. It's clear that this plot is worth much more than it once was. Some people are aware of it and have tried to obtain it. You must be cautious and only trust those who have proven their loyalty through their actions, not just their words. Asia shuddered at the words. This is the land plot that Anton and his mother knew about. They were clearly interested in her inheritance. They must have known about it. She returned to the shed, retrieved the files from the safe, and began to study them. One of the files contained an old will from 1950. It clearly stated that the will mentioned a plot of land on the lake shore near the city. The documents clearly indicate that this plot was intended to be passed to the descendants of Stepanovich Krasny, the grandfather of Yevgenie's grandmother. Asia discovered that the rights to this site were contested by a company planning to build in that area. In other documents, the papers included a newspaper clipping dated last year. The headline read Luxury Lakeside Resort. This project is worth millions. The article confirmed plans to build a luxury lakeside resort complex, but it also clearly stated that the project was facing difficulties due to problems with land rights registration. Asia recalled her mother-in-law's exact words from the conversation she overheard. You can be sure this money will float out of your hands. Everything fell into place. Asia inherited a land plot that was earmarked for the construction of an elite resort. The developer will pay a fortune for this plot. I need to know how Anton and his mother found out about this. Asia discovered a letter from a law firm in one of the documents. The letter was addressed to Yevgeny's grandmother and offered to sell the land plot. Pyotr Sokolov, the director of the legal department of the developer's company, signed the letter. Sokolov was Anton's mother's last name. It is not a coincidence. Asia swiftly retrieved her phone and opened social networks. My mother-in-law had a page where she posted family photos. Asia, I found a post from a year ago. This is a photo of Galina Petrovna at a corporate event. She is standing next to a middle-aged man. My brother and I signed at the Sunrise Resort Group corporate event. Sunrise Resort Group is the same company that planned the construction of the resort. Everything fell into place for months. My mother-in-law's brother worked for a company that was trying to buy a plot of land inherited by Asia. He definitely found out that Eugene's grandmother had died and that Asia, his nephew's wife, was the heir. What an incredible coincidence. This is no coincidence. Asia distinctly recalled meeting Anton at a birthday party for a mutual friend. It wasn't just a chance encounter. Anton purposely sought her out, knowing she was related to her grandmother Yevgenia and possessed a valuable piece of land. Asia felt sick. Their acquaintance, romance, and marriage were undoubtedly part of a well-planned game. She remembered her mother-in-law's exact words from the conversation she overheard. I told you from the beginning that you should have married Lena, not this upstart. Anton would have preferred to marry someone else, but he chose Asia for convenience. Asia was overcome with emotion, and she couldn't hold back her tears. It was clear that her entire worldview was crumbling. Her entire life with Anton was a lie, a carefully constructed deception. The phone rang, cutting her off from her thoughts. Anton. Asia decided to talk to him. She had to know the truth, no matter how bitter it was. Her voice was unmistakably hoarse from crying. Asia, where are you? I am concerned. Anton sounded worried, but Asia didn't believe a word he said. I'm at the dacha, as I clearly stated in the note. I need some time, she stated definitively. I need to know what time it is. What are you talking about? Anton was growing increasingly irritable. You're leaving without warning, talking about some inheritance I have no knowledge of. Don't you know? Asia spoke up. I'm done waiting. Sign me up. There was a pause. I don't understand. What do you mean? Anton's voice revealed wariness. I know everything, Anton, Asia declared, her voice firm. I know about the site on the shore of the lake, the plans for the construction of the resort, and your uncle from the Sunrise Resort Group. Asia, what are you talking about? Anton started to speak, but Asia cut him off. I overheard you talking to your mother yesterday. You told me to act quickly before the money drifted out of your hands while we were discussing my inheritance. You married me for my inheritance, didn't you? Yes. Everything was planned from the beginning. Asia, listen up. Anton sounded startled. It's you. Plain and simple. Listen. Asia's anger fueled her strength. I located the documents and the evidence. Your mother went to the notary's office to ask about my inheritance. You and she planned how to get access to my money and possessions. Tell me the truth. Did you ever love me? Or was I just a means to acquire a piece of land by the lake? Asia, I know this is not true. Anton's voice was unmistakably desperate. I was aware of the precinct. My mom informed me of this after we started dating. I loved you before I knew about the inheritance. You and your mother clearly had a clandestine meeting to discuss your plan to get my money. She said it would be better if you married a dear. Asia's tone was unmistakably bitter. I tried to explain, but you didn't understand. Anton stated, my mother wanted me to marry her friend's daughter, but I chose you because I loved you. Subsequently, my mother exerted pressure on me regarding the inheritance, asserting that this was an opportunity for our family, and you conceded. Asia finished for him. I'm confused. Anton stated. I love you. Mom is very persuasive. She said that if we get this plot, we can sell the company to my uncle and secure our future. And I thought, why not? After all, we are a family. Everything is common. The Asa family felt a new wave of anger rise within them. The family does not plot behind each other's backs. Family doesn't lie. The family has complete trust in one another. You betrayed that trust, Anton. I will not believe you again. Asia, I expect to talk to you in person. I'm on my way to your dacha. Let's discuss everything. Anton's voice was unmistakably desperate. No, Asia said firmly. I need time to think. I will contact you when I'm ready. She firmly pressed the end call button, making it clear that Anton would not be able to respond. Asa felt a strange and devastating sense of loss. She was glad to finally hear the truth from her husband. The truth was hurting her. It was destroying everything she'd believed in for the last 6 years. She was certain of one thing. She would never forgive Anton or trust him again. She resumed reading the letter from Evgeny's grandmother. My grandmother's final words were clear. I have lived a long life full of mistakes and regrets. I made a mistake. I let my pride and resentment stop me from being with my sister, her daughter, and you. Anastasia, I expect you to avoid repeating my mistakes. It is imperative that you do not allow resentment and frustration to define your life. Protect yourself and your future. Asia was certain that she could forgive Anton if she wanted to. She also knew what to do with the inheritance and the plot of land that caused all these intrigues. Asia decided to stay at the dacha for the night. It was late afternoon. She found clean linen in the closet, made up the bed, and made herself a meal of groceries I bought on the way. After dinner, she sat on the porch and drank tea while watching the sunset. Her thoughts were unsettling, but she came to this conclusion. Whatever decision she made, it had to be her own, without pressure from Anton or his mother. Asia slept poorly at night, waking up from even the slightest noise. She had strange dreams. Eugene's grandmother is seen in her youth, holding the hand of a little girl. This is Asa's mother. There are some indistinct figures whispering in the dark, and a sapphire ring shines with a blue light. Asia woke up at dawn in a cold sweat. She sat on the bed for a long time, collecting her thoughts. She was certain that she could not hide in the country indefinitely. A decision was necessary. During the night, her phone was dead. When she turned it on after charging, Asia saw 10 missed calls from Anton and several messages. He wrote, Asia, I'm coming to you. We need to talk. I will arrive at the dacha at noon. The message was sent an hour ago. Asa knew exactly what to do. Pack up and leave before her husband arrived. But where should they go? To Victoria. And then what? Run all your life? She decided to meet Anton face to face. She would tell him everything that had accumulated and demand the full truth. She spent the morning preparing for this conversation. I re-examined the letters from my grandmother Yevgenia and reviewed the documents related to the land plot. The initial shock had passed, and she was able to think more clearly. Anton's claim of love for her is undeniable. Their marriage is still salvageable. He must prove his sincerity, abandon his plans to use her inheritance, and sever all ties with his mother in this matter. Precisely at noon, Asia heard the sound of an approaching car. My heartbeat accelerated. She strode purposefully onto the porch, arms crossed, poised for confrontation. Anton got out of the car. He looked exhausted and had clearly not slept much. Galina Petrovna, his mother, followed him out of the car. Asa's mother-in-law's uninvited entry into her territory triggered an immediate outburst of anger from Asa. What was her purpose in being there? Listen to us. Anton took a step forward, but he stopped when he saw his wife's expression, as his voice was unmistakably trembling with indignation. "Anton, listen to me. You are the only one. Your mother is not welcome here. Don't be selfish." Asia Galina Petrovna stepped forward. "We are a family, and we will work together to resolve these issues." "Family?" Asia's laughter was bitter. "The family does not plot behind each other's backs. The family does not spy on anyone or extract information through acquaintances in the notary's office. The family definitely does not intend to take away the inheritance. My mother-in-law was adamant, nothing was going to be taken away." Her voice lacked conviction. "Use these resources wisely for the benefit of the whole family. For your own good." "You mean," Asia clarified, "you know exactly what's going on here." "I refuse to talk to you." "Anton, if you want to talk, take your mother home and come back alone. Leave together and don't come back. Choose one." Anton's expression clearly conveyed the intense emotional turmoil he was experiencing. He glanced at his wife, then his mother, clearly uncertain of the appropriate course of action. "Anton, this is absurd." His mother-in-law firmly grabbed his arm. "It's clear that she refuses to compromise. She made all the decisions on her own, without consulting us." "Mom, please," Anton said firmly. "You're making things more complicated than they need to be." "Wait in the car." "Okay." Galina Petrovna seemed poised to object, but then, with a sharp look at the doctor, she turned her head. Asia went to the car, albeit reluctantly. Anton said softly when she moved far enough away. "Asia, I'm sorry. I was obligated to tell you everything from the beginning." "Yes, I should have," Asia stated confidently. "It's too late." "It's not too late." Anton's tone made it clear that he sounded hopeful. "Let's start over. Don't even think about the inheritance or the land plot." "Forget it." Asia firmly shook her head. "Anton, I'm telling you. It's not about money or land. Trust is the key. You destroyed it. I need you to tell me for sure if you love me or if you just love my money." "I have no trust in you." "I'll prove it to you," Anton declared. "I deserve a chance. We can." A horn sounded from the car. Galina Petrovna was visibly losing patience. Anton shot a clear, exasperated glance at the car, and Asia understood this all without any words. He was torn between her and his mother, but he was certain about one thing: he didn't want to choose. "Go," Asia said firmly. "She's waiting." "Asia, please." She closed the door, leaving Anton standing on the porch. Through the window, she saw him stand for a moment longer, looking hesitantly at the door, and then slowly walk to the car. As the car pulled away, Asia felt a single tear roll down her cheek. She still loved Anton. He chose his mother over hers more and more each time. Asia was on the porch, watching the sunset, when the phone rang in the evening. The number was not determined. "Hello," Asia replied, her tone assertive. "Good evening, Anastasia Dmitrievna." A male voice sounded unfamiliar. "My name is Pyotr Nikolaevich Sokolov. I am Galina Petrovna's brother and Anton's uncle. I'm calling you directly. And I hope it's okay." Asia's stomach tightened. "It's true. Anton's relative works for the company and is interested in its land plot. Why do you have my number?" she demanded. "Galina gave it to you, didn't she?" he replied confidently. "Look, I know you're dealing with a difficult situation right now with your husband and his mother, but I want to talk to you about a business proposal. We are interested in the plot that you inherited from Evgeny Stepanovna. Sunrise Resort Group is ready to offer you a very generous sum for this land. And so your sister and nephew decided that the best thing to do would be to ingratiate themselves with me, marry me, and then take the land," Asia stated, her tone laced with sarcasm. The other end of the line was silent for a moment. Pyotr Nikolaevich asserted. "I understand your feelings. I can assure you that I was unaware of their methods. I'm a businessman, and I'm offering you a fair deal. I'll come and discuss it with you. You won't regret it." Asia gave it some thought. I should have listened to the suggestion. Ultimately, she had to decide what to do with this plot. "Okay," she said definitively. "Not now. I will contact you through my lawyer when I'm ready to discuss the sale." "Fine." Pyotr Nikolaevich's tone made it clear that he was pleased. "I'm waiting for your call." Anastasia Dmitrievna. "Don't be so hard on Anton. He loves you. He's just confused." Asia didn't say a word and ended the conversation. Hearing from a stranger about Anton's love was indeed strange. An uncle must know how his nephew feels. It was clearly an attempt to soften it up to make it easier to negotiate a sale or land plot. Words about Anton's love triggered a fresh wave of doubts. He had to fight for their relationship. If he really loved her, he would have. "I need you to tell me why you left with your mother instead of staying to find out." The most important question was whether it was possible to restore what was destroyed. Asia spent 2 days at the dacha. She put the house and garden in order and thought about her future. On the 3rd day, she made the decision to head back to town, meet with a lawyer, and discuss the estate situation. She also had to make a decision about her marriage. Before leaving, Asia conducted a final sweep of the house, ensuring everything was locked, and took one last look at the garden. "I'll be back, Grandma Eugenia," she said firmly, and added, "Thank you for everything." She placed the family heirloom box and the letters in her bag. It was now her legacy. It was her connection to a past she was just beginning to recognize. Asia decided to move in with Victoria in the city, choosing to leave her apartment with Anton. She met with a lawyer recommended by a notary and thoroughly discussed the situation with the inheritance and the potential sale of the land plot. "Everything is clear," the lawyer stated definitively after thoroughly reviewing the documents. "You are the sole heir, and no one can claim this land without your consent. Take your time with the sale offer. This plot will cost much more than you are currently offered, especially considering the construction plans for the resort." "Tell me what you suggest," Asia asked. "Order an independent assessment. Study other offers. Consider partnering with developers. Don't just sell. This will undoubtedly generate significantly more revenue over time." Asia gave a firm nod, thinking hard about the offer. She took her time making a decision, knowing that her current emotional state would prevent her from making the right choice. "My marriage is the issue here." "What is it?" she demanded after a pause. "What's the best legal move?" The lawyer thought. "If you decide to divorce, do it before any major financial transactions with the inheritance. Otherwise, your husband may claim part of the cost, especially if the plot is sold during the marriage." Divorce. The word spoken aloud made her feel like she was in a hurry. She realized the reality of the situation. Her marriage was definitely over. It was painful to admit, but the trust was shattered. There was no way to restore it. After meeting with the lawyer, Asia went to the cafe to meet Victoria. "What have you decided?" my friend inquired, observing Asia intently. "I'm filing for divorce," Asia stated confidently. "I have no intention of selling the land, at least not yet. The lawyer is certain that the value far exceeds the amount I have been offered." "What about Anton? He definitely tried to contact you." "Yes. I called multiple times and left a message. I didn't answer." "I have no comment." "I will talk to him and give him a chance to explain." "For what?" Asia smiled sadly. "He has already explained everything. He was aware of the inheritance and his family's plans, yet he chose not to inform me." "This requires an explanation." Victoria shrugged. "His feelings for you are real." "Maybe," Asia agreed. but I'm not going to trust him again if that's all it takes. Asia decided to answer Anton's call that evening when she returned to Victoria. Asia. He sounded surprised. It was clear he hadn't expected her to answer. Where are you? I'm worried. I'm at a friend's, Asia stated. I needed time to think. I want to know if you've made a decision. His voice revealed fear. I'm filing for divorce, Anton, Asia stated definitively. The other end of the line remained silent. Is this about the money? He asked directly. You're boisterous. I'm not claiming your inheritance. No, Asia said, her tone firm and decisive. Our marriage was built on lies. That's why it's ended. You were aware of the inheritance from the beginning. Anton remained silent for what felt like an eternity, and Asia feared the connection was lost. Not from the beginning. He stated definitively. I was in the dark when we first met. I fell in love with you because you are exactly who you are. Uncle Peter accidentally mentioned your last name and asked, you're a relative of Yevgenia Stepanovna, aren't you? Mom overheard this conversation. And he fell silent. He decided that this was a great chance for your family. I finished it for him. Asia, I have something to tell you. Anton's voice was unmistakably pleading, yet my mother insisted that it was crucial to wait until our children were ready. The relationship will undoubtedly become stronger. We got married, and I didn't know how to explain it. It's been 6 years. Anton, Asia stated firmly. You had 6 years to tell me the truth. You chose to keep this secret and discuss my inheritance with your mother behind my back. I refuse to trust you after this. I know I made a mistake. Anton stated confidently. I love you, Asia. I will win back your trust. I'll do whatever it takes. Tell me what to do. I don't know, Asia answered directly. It is unclear what can be done. I need time. Respect my decision to divorce. There was a pause. Okay, Anton said, his voice flat. If this is what you want, I'm not going to waste your time. I love you and I will wait for you. Asia's reaction was immediate and profound. These words touched her more than she expected. There is truth to this. Anton undoubtedly loved her, despite everything that had happened. Goodbye, Anton, she said firmly, ending the call with a clear sense of finality. The next few weeks went by in the blink of an eye. Asia found a small apartment to rent, took care of the divorce papers, and met with lawyers about the inheritance. An independent assessment confirmed the land plot's significant value, particularly in light of the region's planned development. Several new purchase offers were received, including a substantial one from competitor Sunrise Resort Group. Anton didn't put up a fight during the divorce, and the process went smoothly. He left ASA their shared apartment, making it clear that he did not claim any of the jointly acquired property. It was noble of him. Asia felt a pang of conscience. She was undoubtedly cruel. It was definitely worth giving their relationship another shot. Asia discovered family heirlooms in a box while sorting things out in a new apartment. She had brought the box from the dacha. She took out the sapphire ring and looked at it intently, recalling Eugene's grandmother's words on forgiveness and freedom. Protect yourself and your future. At that moment, Asia made a decision. She put the ring back on her finger. It felt heavy on her face. The uncertainty of the past and the uncertainty of the future finally gave way to clarity and calm. She was certain of her course of action. The next day, Asia called Anton and offered to meet him. They selected a neutral territory, a quiet park where they used to walk together. Anton's gaunt, haggard appearance belied the hope that flickered in his eyes when he saw Asia. When they sat down on the bench, I thought intensely about us, about what happened, and about the future. I understood that I can't simply cut you out of my life as if those 6 years didn't exist. Anton leaned forward, his face lit up. You mean? Asia interrupted gently. I'm ready to try again, not as husband and wife, but as two people who are getting to know each other again. I expect nothing but the truth from you, and I don't want to hear any lies, secrets, or interference from your mother. Anton's expression conveyed a clear mix of disappointment and hope. I'll do anything, he declared confidently. I'm going to prove to you that I can be honest. I give you a chance, Asia said definitively. Trust will have to be earned again, and it will take time. Tell me about the land plot. An inheritance? Anton inquired with a hint of caution. I'm not selling the land, Asia stated definitively. Your uncle's company is not an option. The lawyers have found better options. But this is my business, Anton. I will solve them myself. Your participation is unnecessary. If you want to be with me, accept it. Anton nodded slowly. I understand. I accept. I'm telling you to stop meddling in my affairs and talking behind my back. Trust me. I'll do anything to earn your trust. Asia looked at him closely, seeking the truth behind his words. She was certain of one thing: she could never fully trust him again. She was determined to give them both this chance. She knew the truth about each other, and she was ready for them to start over. They made a plan to meet for dinner in a week. It would be their first real date since everything that had happened. Anton saw the sapphire ring on Asa's finger as they said goodbye. It's a beautiful ring, he stated confidently. I'm telling you, I've never seen him before. It's a family heirloom, Asia stated definitively. A woman's true strength lies in her independence and ability to forgive. After the meeting, Asa felt a sense of lightness. She was uncertain about her future with Anton and whether he could truly change. She questioned whether she could ever trust him completely again. But she knew one thing: Eugene's grandmother gave her the opportunity to choose her path freely and independently. 6 months later, Asia stood on the shore of the lake, looking at the water sparkling in the rays of the setting sun. The land she inherited was stunning and untouched, stretching along the coastline. After extensive consultation with legal and environmental experts, she made a decision that shocked many. She categorically refused to sell the land to any of the development companies. She created a nature protection fund and gave the land to a nature reserve. She made 2 conditions. Part of the territory would be available for ecotourism, and the proceeds would go to charity. The decision was not easy, especially considering the amount of money offered for the plot. Asa knew it was his responsibility to preserve the beauty of this place and prevent it from becoming just another luxury resort. I dedicated it to my grandmother Eugenia, who valued independence and the principles of higher material goods. Anton and I were still dating and rebuilding our relationship. He kept his promise. Plain and simple. Her affairs will not be interfered with, and she will not be pressured. He had the courage to stand up to his mother when she tried to interfere again. It was difficult, but it made it clear that he was serious about changing. Asia was certain of one thing. Her life had changed forever thanks to the legacy of her grandmother Evgenia. She didn't know if she would ever be husband and wife again, but she was sure of that. It was about more than money or land. About us we teach the importance of independence, the power of truth, and the ability to forgive without forgetting to protect yourself. Asia felt strangely calm standing on the shore of the lake with her grandmother Yevgenia's ring on her finger. Her relationship with Anton might change in the future, but she was certain of one thing. She would never lose herself again. She would never put trust and love above her own dignity and independence. Eugene's grandmother was right. This was the real strength. That was without question the most valuable thing she received in the inheritance.